The old city library stood like a secret in the middle of the bustling streets, quiet and patient among honking horns and fast-moving lives. Inside, the air smelled of paper, wood polish, and a touch of time. Like every whisper ever spoken had decided to stay, Elena walked past the arched glass doors with purpose. She came here every Saturday afternoon, not because she had a paper due or an urgent project, but because she loved the silence. She loved how, in a world that constantly shouted, the library still spoke in whispers. Aisle 7. Her favorite, that's where they kept the old travel books, faded maps, first-person journals from long-dead adventurers, stories about countries that no longer existed the way they were described. She loved reading them and imagining another life, one where she just kept moving, city to city, never looking back. But today, aisle 7 wasn't empty. A man stood near the center, a book half open in his hand. He was tall, with dark, wavy hair pulled back loosely, wearing a gray sweater with a small tear at the shoulder and black jeans. His lips moved as he read quietly to himself, unaware anyone was near. She hesitated, then stepped forward, pretending to browse. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. He read aloud softly, quoting from Proust. Elena looked at him. "That's one of my favorites," she said. He turned, a little startled, then smiled. "Mine too. Though I always wonder what he meant by new eyes. Like, wiser? Or just more open?" She tilted her head. "Maybe both. Or maybe just willing to see beauty in places others don't." There was a short pause, he offered his hand. "Julian."
Yeah.
He smiled again. It was warm and a little shy, the kind of smile people didn't wear often anymore. She reached for a book on the shelf beside him, fingers brushing his for just a moment. A strange quiet settled between them.
Not awkward.
Just expectant. He nodded toward a bench by the large window at the end of the aisle. "Want to sit and talk travel books with a complete stranger?" She grinned.
Sure.
"As long as you're not secretly writing a murder mystery." He chuckled. "Only romantic poetry. Far more dangerous." They sat near the window, and sunlight spilled in like a golden curtain. They talked for over an hour, about books that changed them, places they wanted to visit, the small heartbreaks that taught them the most. Julian had lived in Prague for 2 years and wrote letters to strangers as a hobby. Elena told him she painted skies at night when she couldn't sleep. Every time their eyes met, something grew, not urgency, not lust, something quieter, deeper. Eventually, the light began to fade.
People left.
The air grew cooler. She stood to leave, clutching a book she hadn't even opened. "I should go." He stood too, slower. "Will I see you again?" She looked up at him. "Probably." He hesitated. "Can I?" She didn't let him finish. Instead, she stepped closer, her hand lightly touching his chest, and kissed him, soft, thoughtful. The way people kiss when they're not in a rush. His hand came up to cradle her jaw, and their lips moved gently, like the beginning of a melody neither wanted to end. The silence around them deepened, not empty, but full of all the things they weren't saying. When they finally pulled apart, Elena smiled. "I think that was my favorite line today." Julian raised an eyebrow. "The kiss?" She nodded.
Yeah.
"Sometimes the best stories don't need pages." And just like that, she walked away, but slower now, knowing something had changed. And in aisle 7, Julian stood very still, the book forgotten in his hand, a quiet smile on his lips as the library kept all their silent words.